A Tempe Wells Fargo employee died at her desk. And 12 News is now confirming that it may have taken as many as 4 days for anyone in the office to notice.
New tonight, a Wells Fargo employee dies at her desk and no one bats an eye.
So let's talk about this case of a Wells Fargo employee who died at her desk and wasn't discovered for 4 days. Now, this case is tragic as it is shocking. A Wells Fargo employee, her name is Denise, was found dead at her desk, and the most jaw-dropping part of it is that it took 4 days for anyone to even notice. Yeah, you heard that right. 4 days. Now, this situation raises some serious questions about workplace safety, company culture, and just basic human decency. Let's break this case down and the potential legal implications that the company may be facing. Let's start with the facts. On Friday, August 16th at 7 a.m. in the morning, 60-year-old Denise clocked into work at Wells Fargo in Tempe, Arizona, but she never clocked out. Now, apparently on that Friday, Denise died at her desk of natural causes, but no one noticed. Now, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday passed, and no one noticed Denise was still sitting at her desk with the same clothes. Now, we'll fast forward to Tuesday, August 20th, 4 days later. Denise's boss sent her an email. When Denise didn't respond, other employees went to check on her.
Her boss had emailed her. He didn't receive a response, so they went to go check where she normally sits. And that's how they found the body.
Tempe police say on August 20th, building security called authorities after finding a worker who was possibly dead.
Now, you would think in a modern workplace, someone might notice her absence sooner, right? But you'd be wrong. Now, this tragedy was allowed to happen because of this particular workplace environment. Now, the Wells Fargo office building is a big building, and most employees work remotely. Since the pandemic, companies have allowed more and more employees to work remotely because it saves on cost. Now think about it. Things like electricity, water, heating and cooling can all mean big bucks to the bottom line. And if you think about it, all of these companies can pass those costs on to the employee who works from home. Now, when it comes to this Wells Fargo building itself, it had 24/7 security. But even with all this, no one noticed that this woman never went home for 4 days and was in the same clothing. Now, there were signs that something was wrong within the office. People reported a smell of a foul odor in the building, but most just shrugged it off as faulty plumbing.
This employee says several people had smelled a foul odor, but passed it off as faulty plumbing. They say while most Wells Fargo employees at this Tempe location work remote, the building has 24/7 security.
Okay, so let's talk about some potential legal ramifications for Wells Fargo. First off, there's a possible negligence claim here. When you think about it, the workplace has a duty to take care and ensure the safety and well-being of its employees. Wells Fargo's failure to notice that one of the employees was not only missing, but dead and sitting at their desk for 4 days could lead to a breach of that duty.
This employee wants to see new safety protocols in place, telling me, quote, "It's negligence in some part." A different worker also spoke with 12 News anonymously.
It was just uncomfortable.
Again, calling on the company to do more.
Body was there about 4 days before anybody found it, before anybody walked up to her and just to say hi, make sure she's okay. She was just laying on her desk.
Now, even though I think this is a stretch, and since we're talking about potential liability, I think it's good to mention wrongful death. If it turns out that the delay in discovering Denise contributed to her death or any suffering beforehand. Now, even though foul play isn't suspected, the Maricopa County Medical Examiner is still investigating the cause of death. Now, if it's found that Wells Fargo's inaction or poor policies contributed in any way, they could be on the hook for some legal challenges. Now, of course, Wells Fargo issued a statement expressing their sadness over the loss and mentioned that they've made crisis counselors available to employees.
Wells Fargo said in a statement, "We are deeply saddened by the tragic loss of our colleague at our Tempe office." It also states counselors are available to support employees and all further questions will be directed to police.
Now let's keep it real. This is more damage control than a genuine solution to an underlying problem. Employees are calling for new safety protocols, and to be fair, they're not wrong. This situation highlights a serious flaw in their system. Having someone sit at a desk with their head down for 4 days before they're discovered, obviously there's a problem. And to say you have 24/7 security in the building, the security walk around and actually do checks of the building? Because generally, if that happened and you had a security guard up there at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday checking the building and sees an employee still sitting at their desk, maybe that would have triggered something earlier. As many of you know, I've been a cop, a prosecutor, a law professor, and now I'm here to make sure that you have the right legal team in your corner. Today, we're tackling a critical issue: automated external defibrillators, or AED, in public spaces, like gyms and casinos. Now, when these life-saving devices fail or aren't used, there are consequences that can be devastating. Lives are lost, families are broken due to someone's negligence, leading to death or severe brain damage. Now, together with Gold Law and D. Miller Law, we specialize in cases where AEDs fail or are improperly managed. If you suffer from such a failure, or if a loved one has been harmed, it's critical you stand up for your rights. We meticulously review every detail, from the legal requirements for AEDs to medical records like EKGs. Our goal is to ensure justice for victims and prevent future tragedies. Now, to protect your legal rights, don't wait. Contact us today. Together with Gold Law and D. Miller Associates, we will fight to get justice for you. So what happens now? Well, besides the ongoing investigation into the cause of death, there's likely going to be an internal review by Wells Fargo. At least there should be. We might see changes on how the company monitors the well-being of its employees, especially at large, remote-heavy workplaces like this one. But it shouldn't stop there. This incident is a wake-up call for employees everywhere to rethink their safety protocols and wellness protocols. Now, you may think this is the first time something like this has happened, but it's happened many times in the past. For instance, this Forbes article talks about how a tax auditor died at his desk and he wasn't found for 2 days. He also happened to be 60 years old. Or this story, how a New Yorker died on the subway and passengers didn't notice for 5 hours. And just like the dead rider in New York, same thing happened in Washington, D.C.
Metro officials in Washington, D.C. are investigating how a man who died on a subway train was able to remain on the train for nearly 5 hours. Ricky Van Houter got on at the Twin Brook station at 10 o'clock Monday morning. The train went out of service a couple of hours later, but despite a visual inspection by the operator, the man's body was not seen.
Have somebody dead on the train, it's like you're not doing your job. So I don't know, I just feel like he got let down.
It was not until 3 o'clock, when the train went back into service, that Houter's body was noticed.
My heart goes out to his family. It's a terrible thing to happen. I just hope Metro gets a hold of the situation.
Now, this issue is not a new issue. It's been happening for decades. People dying in office buildings, in public places, and other people not noticing for hours, even days. So what do you guys think about this? Could this have been prevented, or is this just some tragic freak accident? My take is, unfortunately, I think this was the perfect storm of situations where a woman is in a remote cubicle where many people may not pass that particular place.
They say a colleague found Prudhomme dead at her desk in a cubicle while walking around the building on Tuesday, August 20th. Prudhomme's cubicle was reportedly on the 3rd floor and away from the main aisle.
Now, if this is all accurate, then it makes sense why her body may have not been found for a couple of days. But 4 days is a long time, even to the point where the body is decomposing and people are smelling it. Then I think Wells Fargo security has a bigger problem. Literally, you're not finding dead bodies on the floors. What type of security checks are they doing at night when the building is closed? Are they going into these spaces to see if there's anybody else in there? So this is a crazy story. Let me know how you feel in the comment section and whether you have a solution for this, seems like, problem where people are just dying at their desk and not being found for days at a time. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all the great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.